All right. So again, welcome everybody. Speak Sell Shine, cohort number 2. This right here, SpeakerHub is who is our speaker this evening as soon as Ron comes back on. But I just want to make sure that you all know the difference between what a speakers bureau does versus a speaker directory. So most of them will say, "Oh, I'm a speakers bureau." So you would think like, "Oh, well, I'm good. All I need to do is get on a speakers bureau and the speakers bureau will just book me." That's not true. They will usually book because the people who book work on commission. They'll book the top 10% of their speakers, the ones that already have the brand name, the ones that already have PR, the ones that are Google-licious, the ones that people are asking for. So really it's a bureau, but basically it's more when people come inbound to them and then people respond. Very rarely are they doing outbound, meaning calling people on the phone and say, "Hey, let's book Esther or let's book Michelle." No, because at that point they have to work harder. They'd rather answer the phone than to make phone calls. You get it? So that's where a lot of the things where Gig Salad, Speaker Match, uh, the e-speakers, you're listed on there, and it lists your fees, and it lists who you are, your speaking topics, and all that. You have your reel, but it does not do outbound marketing for you. So you do need to be there because it makes you Google-licious. You know, people will see you, and it's like, oh, okay, well, they'll see that you're represented on a particular site. If you and I can send everybody to what Jade says. She's on the Speakers Magazine on the last podcast. She gets paid better without having representation from a bureau. And she said that she learned that the hard way. But the whole point of that I want to say is that just because you're with a bureau, a speakers bureau, does not mean that you're going to get booked, especially if you're just starting out. It's very similar to maybe a real estate agent that has a house that they make commission on that is a multi-million-dollar house versus a house that is like, I don't know, 200,000. So it could sell a whole bunch of $200,000 homes and show them to a whole bunch of people, or you can just wait and wait for someone to just say, "Hey, I have a multi-million-dollar home. I want to list, I want to sell." They get commission. So bureaus work on commission. So don't, and then bureaus should not, real bureaus, if they are going to do the pitching for you, they should not charge you because they work on commission. You get what I'm saying? So they're working on commission. So when they say, "Hey, you got to pay us," plus they work on commission, it's either one or the other. So don't do that. But the main thing for any speaker is building up your brand, making sure that you are a recognized name for the expertise. So I'll give you a quick story of someone who was at Speak Sell Shine last year, Stephen. So Stephen went through Speak Sell Shine, got his video, got his sizzle reel, doing all the things. He's, you know how it can be. He's revamping this, revamping that, revamp the site, getting the PR out there. He's like, "Okay, what else you want me to do?" And so he's doing it. And, it's been a year. So he's finally has realized, he says, being Google-licious works. Being found works. You can't get booked if you can't be found. That was in the Speak Up book that you all got. That's what I say. You can't get booked if you can't get found. So he had a school system call him from Tennessee. The Tennessee was like, "Oh my God, our speaker just kind of like went ghost on us. He's sick or whatever. We need a speaker. We need an educational leadership speaker." We put in to look for one, and you kept coming up. All of your stories that we see about you, all of the videos that we see about you, all the podcasts that you've been on. We like what we see. We like what we hear. We like what we read. Would you be our speaker? Stephen said, "Absolutely." And from that one gig, small gig, so to speak, he got $5,000. So it helped. Now, did it happen like as soon as he left Speak Sell Shine? No, but it took a while of doing the things and being coachable. So Natalie, Dr. Angela, Esther, Michelle, there's Ron. Okay, Dr. Gigi, being coachable matters. When I put together workbooks like this, read it, do it, activate it. There's a book, I can't think the name. I think it's called Strength Finders. Great book. I love books. Strength Finders. Strength Finders is a book where you can take a test and you find out what is your strength. Because sometimes people say, well, you should work on your weaknesses. No, you should work on your strengths because that's where your genius is. Strength Finders, I'm an activator. If you all haven't recognized it, that's like my top one. Activating meaning like I'll hear it, tell me once, I'm going to do it. All right. I'm so much an activator that I'm almost sometimes a little impatient with people. It's like, didn't I just tell you that? Didn't I say to do what? So I know everybody's not an activator, but if we want this to work really, really faster for you, activate the things that are in there, the suggestions, make the calls, do the things. So Ron, unmute. I'm asking you to unmute. Come on up here, sir.
How's it going, guys? Nice to meet you. Some of
Hey,
you I know, I've seen
hey.
before. I know Michael very well.
Yes, yes, yes. Michael Wynn is from Detroit, and you probably know Dr. Angela as well. Dr.
Yep,
Angela Pardon Map. Mhm.
yep,
She's from
exactly.
Detroit as well.
Ron is one of my wife's number one fans. She asked me, "You talking to Columbia today?" She gave you a nickname, Columbia. She said, "You talking to Columbia today?"
He
We
does not
we
do
had
drugs. Okay.
go back and forth to the hotel, and she was amazed with your stories. Yeah.
No,
I
that's
had to
cool.
tell.
I'm glad I made a good impression.
He's actually from St. Louis, guys, so he's not from Columbia. Like, like,
Yeah.
like there. So, Columbia sometimes has that little reputation, like, well, what's he doing in Columbia? What's he really do? Is he
I mean, if you,
like Queen of
yeah,
the South or
people have
what?
their assumptions. They have their assumptions, but I get people booked on stages.
That's it. That's it. So I'm going to spotlight you for everyone. You can
Okay.
also share your screen if you want to share your screen. So I allowed you
Yep.
to do that. I am recording so that those being that aren't able to attend tonight's session. But if you have questions, they can put them in the chat and I'll read them in the chat. And we'll only be till about 8 o'clock or so, Ron. And then if they have any
Yep.
questions, we can give us, give us a few minutes for them to ask
Of
any
course.
questions, and you can answer. Okay.
So the format that I like to follow is teach a little bit so that you understand why we do what we do, and then tell you how to use the tool, right?
Hold on
So
one
I'm a
second.
firm believer that if you gave me a paintbrush and you gave an experienced artist a paintbrush, we would get different results. Not because there was something wrong with the paintbrush, but there was something, the context in which the painter used developed a different outcome. Does that make sense? So we could give you all the tools in the world, but if you don't use them in the right context, it's just like that painter that's inexperienced. He's going to blame the brush, but in reality, he just needed a little bit more context on how to do abstract art or whatever he's trying to do. Is that fair? So to kind of bring you up to speed, I'm Ron Story. Most people knew me for a company called PitchDB. And PitchDB was a company I bought 5 years ago. Back in 2018, we bought PitchDB, and it was the first and main directory for outbound booking for podcast, paid speaking gigs, and press. We grew that company over the last 5 years. And in June, we purchased the largest speaker directory in the world called SpeakerHub. And we added that to our portfolio of companies. About a month ago, we bought a speaking course company. So we've bought 5 companies over the last 6 years to try to build a Microsoft Office for speakers, right? So what I want to do is today show you what I've learned because we own an agency also. She was talking about speaker agents and things of that sort. We owned an outbound agency where we just did outbound for people. We didn't charge a commission, as she mentioned. We charge per pitch. So you just paid us a flat fee versus us taking 20% of your fee. Does that make sense? So I'm going to share with you some of the lessons I learned from actually working with some of the best speakers in the world and how you can apply them no matter what level of speaker you're at, right? So I'm going to share my screen here. So over the years, we've learned something that we call the speaker flywheel, right? And I'm going to walk through this step by step with you because I think it's really important. And if you want to kind of have one leg up on everybody else, you would use this, right? And this is the history I was telling you about. We bought PitchDB. Then you may remember Boyce Watkins owned, and him and his brother owned Great Black Speakers. I ended up getting that from them in 2021. A PR agency last year, SpeakerHub this summer, and then the other one that says acquired with the question marks is a speaker course that we purchased last month. So we're buying the tools. We're going out and getting the expertise so that we can give you the right information, not just a guess. Does that make sense? So to give you a little bit of context of why that matters, done for you pitching is us doing the outreach. So I got to see what the event planners were looking for. I got to see what pitches they liked, what pitches they didn't like. Last year, we sent about 400,000 emails and we booked 10,000 meetings with meeting planners, right? And I'll show you that data in a second, but we actually sent those emails. So I know how they're going to reply back and what they're going to say back to you, right? We understood that podcasting was probably more leverage than speaking, because I could be in my house in Medellin right now and talk to you all over the world. This is the 4th hour of speaking I've done today. This is the 4th gig I've done today from Medellin, Colombia, right? My 12 o'clock gig today was with Les Brown. Him and I hosted a conversation for about 200 people earlier today, right? So I can do gigs anywhere using Zoom in a podcast format. Does that make sense? So don't discount podcasting, because we're going to talk about it in a minute, how to make money from going on podcasts, right? But then we own a PR software company and PR agency. And here's what I've learned. You can do cold outreach and get booked. We call that growth hacking. Being a guest on a podcast can be more powerful than doing a live speaking gig. But PR and what Pam does it still makes thought leaders. If you think of everybody who you love, they write for a company or they've written a book. You're not a thought leader until you have been published someplace, in my opinion. Other people may have another opinion, but let me give you an example. Let's say Esther and I are competing for the same gig. And they say, oh, this is Ron's story. He talks about this. And what's your topic, Esther? Because this will be interactive. What's your topic?
Talking to authors about their new books.
Okay, so she does publishing, right? So let's say I talk about publishing also. And Esther says, I'm Esther Dillard. I am a Forbes business columnist. And I help authors to do this. They're going to look at her and be like, we don't even need to worry about this dude. She writes for Forbes. Bring her in, right? Or this month she works at Forbes getting paid $3,000. She doesn't work at Forbes getting paid $3,000 a gig. Once she gets that Forbes credential, now it's $7,000, because they're leaning that she wouldn't be at Forbes if she was an idiot. They're leaning that Forbes gave her some credibility. They did some vetting before they let her be a columnist. Does that make sense? So PR still creates the thought leader. Is that fair? Right? So let's get into the things that I learned with the speaker flywheel. So I call these the 4 growth hacks of elite speakers. The first one is that the best speakers are not waiting to be found. You know, has anyone on the line ever had someone knock on your door and say, hey, you want to speak this weekend? Exactly. It don't happen.
They can't get booked if they can't be found. That's right.
That's exactly it, right? So what we try to say is, hey, it's okay to have the directory stuff, because that's what we are. 62,000 people use our directory. But guess what? I don't want to wait. I'm going to go get mine. I'm going to be there if you're searching for me, but I'm going to pitch the gigs I want. So the best speakers are proactively pitching the stages that they want, right? Growth hack number 2 is that you got to use a smaller stage to get a bigger stage, right? If I'm trying to get in Forbes, like we were using for the example, I probably should write for Speakers Magazine first to show what I'm doing.
That's it. I know. I tell them that.
Do you see what I mean? Get an article, get on the cover of Speakers Magazine. It's a lot easier to get the attention of the editor of Forbes if you've been published someplace else. And that's not saying that Speakers is anything lower than Forbes. It's just saying you need a platform to demonstrate your goods.
Mm-hmm. Start small and move up.
Does that make sense? So if you've never done a gig before, you should be getting on podcast. Why? Because I can take that podcast interview and you can send it to local association presidents and event planners there, and they can try you out. They can listen to you on the podcast before they bring you in to talk to their 50 members. Mm-hmm. When they bring you in to talk to their 50 members, you take your nephew with you or your daughter with their phone, and you have them record you. Now you got your speaker reel stuff. You just tell them, don't you turn this phone around and show us only 3 people in here. Y'all keep focused up here on the stage.
They're gonna have good speaker reels. They're gonna have good speaker reels. So
but you see what I mean? But
yes,
here's the great thing about it. You use one thing to get the bigger thing.
Yes. Yes.
Does that make sense? So then you take that speaker reel and then you send it to the conference. Now, I'm a firm believer that you should have as many speaker reels as you can afford. And the reason being is that if I'm going to go speak at an insurance conference, I want to show them me speaking at an insurance association. I don't want to show me speaking at a real estate association. I want them to be familiar that I already know their audience. Does that make sense? Because if I'm going to be speaking there anyway, what does it cost for me to tell my nephew to hold his phone? Nothing. It costs me nothing, right? So that's how you use smaller stages to get bigger stages, right? Growth hack number 3, learn to give profitable free speeches. What do I mean by profitable free speeches? There are 3 ways to get paid from a speaking gig. The lowest price one is to get paid up front. That's the cheapest fee you will ever charge, is the upfront payment. Let me say it again. The lowest fee is the upfront payment. All right. So you can get paid up front. You can get paid during the event. And you can get paid after the event. Let me give you an example. If I can sell tickets, I can get a higher fee up front because my face is going to drive the ticket sales for the event, right? A Les Brown, a TD Jakes, somebody famous, they're going to drive ticket sales for the event because people say, TD Jakes going to be there, I'm going to go. Les Brown gonna be there, I'm gonna go. Tony Robbins gonna be there, I'm gonna go. The name sells the tickets. So that's why they can get these high prices because they're selling tickets. Right? But let me tell you a funny story. I applied to speak at this podcasting conference. And I knew the guy, so I called him. I said, man, why you didn't ask me to speak at the podcasting conference? He was like, oh man, it's really, I'm like, you know what I do. And he says, yeah, that was, but I don't think, a lot of these people are more popular than you. And I said, I got 115,000 people on our newsletter from SpeakerHub that we just bought. We got 62,000 customers. All of a sudden, I had a speaking spot. Because he knew I could drive tickets now. Because now I'm going to send it out. I'm going to be speaking at your... And now he's like, oh, yeah, exactly. Right? But beforehand, he had no space for me. Right? So you can get paid up front if you have a value exchange. You can get paid more. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying you shouldn't take the money up front, but the best speakers are getting paid in 2 out of the 3 ways. Right? If they can't afford less up front, 100%, he definitely going to have a booth where he's going to sell his coaching. So you may get lower up front, but the ability to sell. Does that make sense? But then on a podcast, they don't pay you to show up on the podcast, and they don't pay you while they're recording, but you get clients afterwards. Does that make sense? So those are the 3 ways: before, during, and afterwards. But that's a profitable free speech. Because if you're competing with me and we're competing for the same stage, your fee is $5,000. Maybe that's their budget. I would tell them, hey, you could donate that $5,000 to your favorite charity in my name if you let me sell my product. Because I know I'm going to walk out with $40,000. They ain't going to pay me $40 to show up, but I can sell $40,000 of my stuff. Is that fair? So profitable free speeches. How do you get paid? 3 ways: before, during, and after. Try to get 2 of those. And that's what you have to decide up front. And every gig, you need to know how you're going to make your money. So let me get into this. Why is this so important? People usually frown at me if they only have one way to sell their intellectual property. If speaking is your only way to sell your intellectual property, record it. Take your speech, turn it into an outline. That's a book. Take that outline, turn it into videos. That's a course. Take that course, spread it out over 2 months. That's consulting. Take that consulting, spread it out over a year. That's a coaching program. Come on now. Your intellectual property has to be distributed in multiple ways. I call it the Chipotle effect. How many of y'all ever had Chipotle? Go to Chipotle, you get a bowl. Same stuff. You know the difference between a Chipotle bowl and Chipotle salad? The salad, they put the lettuce in first. The bowl, they put the lettuce in last. Same stuff in there. What's the difference between a bowl and a burrito? The bowl, you can't eat. You can eat the burrito wrapper. You can't eat the bowl wrapper. You see the difference? They've repackaged the same stuff for the person that wants it. If I'm running, I can't run and eat a bowl, but I can run and eat a burrito. Right? I can drive and eat a burrito. Same food. Make sense? So you got to be able to repackage your stuff so that you know how to find that profit in that free speech. Fair? Cool.
That's it.
Growth hack number 4, invest in the right tools, right? You're in the speaking business. This is not a speaking job. Businesses require investment into equipment, tools, and everything else. You pay for Zoom, you pay for a blue check mark on Instagram, you pay for a lot of different things, a CRM, a website, those are tools. So be sure you're investing in the right tools. If that's PR, if that's data for a list of speaking gigs, be willing to, it ain't whether it's worth it, it's whether you're worth it.
Ooh, that's good.
You see what I mean? Is because we think, oh, that ain't worth that, but are you worth it? Is it worth the mission of your message to get that out? Right? Any questions about these before we go forward? Because if you don't believe these, you're not going to like the rest about what I'm about to talk about. You're going to hate the rest of
one
this
of the
stuff.
things that growth hack number 3, learn to give profitable, what you
Free
said,
speeches.
profitable free speeches.
Yep.
If you need to, sometimes I'll tell them that you would waive the fee instead of telling them I'll speak for free. So give them an invoice and then put that you waived it for them so that they will know the next time, or anyone else, you have record that this is what my fee was, but I did choose to waive it for you. So that's
How
kind
many
of,
of y'all ever heard of National Speakers Association?
I just read that to them as one. They got that
Right.
in their workbook of resources.
Right? NSA, right? When we first took over SpeakerHub, they called me and they had their event August the 3rd. They hit me up right after 4th of July. Hey, we heard you just bought SpeakerHub. You want a table? Nope. Why not? I don't want no table. Everybody else got tables. What do you want? I want a half hour. Half hour? I want the stage. How much? I had the stage. I spoke before Willie Jolly and Wes Brown. We were the only 3 people there. Willie and Les shared the stage together. I had the session right before them.
They
Right?
just met Willie too last week.
Yeah, great guy. Great guy. We're doing some cool stuff together very soon, so you all will see that. But the thing that I'm saying is that you can purchase the stages if you have another product to sell. Do you see what I mean? They had to fill that spot anyway. I turned a debit to a credit on their balance sheet. They went from having to pay somebody to do that to having me actually pay them for that time.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So, got to give profitable free speeches. I'm willing to go negative. That ain't free. That's like losing money in order to get an opportunity to sell my stuff. That's how much I believe in me. I'm worth it. I was worth what I paid for that sponsorship.
And Dr. G just said she has a speaking event on the 25th with 21,000 participants, and they bought 250 of her books. So
Incredible.
that's one of the things. Yes, that is.
Yeah, money ain't the only form of currency, right? Everybody says, I don't want to speak for free until someone offered them a TEDx spot. All of a sudden, they speak for free. They want that TEDx red little thing in the back. They'll speak for free for that, but yet, I'm like, come on, man. Now, let me tell you one other thing. Every organization has the money for the speakers they want to pay. If Barack Obama showed up to speak at any organization, I bet you they find the money for the Secret Service and everybody else to be out there because they know how many people and tickets they're going to be able to sell because it's Barack Obama or Donald Trump, whoever you prefer. Do you see what I mean? They find the money for who they want to find the money for. So what's your job? Your job is to, in the meeting, convince them that you're worth the money you're asking for. When someone comes to buy a speaker and they say, oh, the price high? I haven't convinced them that it was worth it yet. Do you see what I mean? That means I got to tell them why this is better than their alternative. That's my job. Same way on your side. When someone says, we won't pay speakers, you ain't heard me. Them other speakers was trash. Y'all shouldn't have paid them. I heard it. I watched y'all conference from last year. I'm glad you didn't pay them. But this year you should pay me. And I'm going to tell you why. Does that make sense? All right, so let's move forward. Let's talk about this flywheel thing. If we understand the growth hacks, then you will get the flywheel. Because the flywheel is broken down into two main segments. This exterior hurricane thing and then the middle part. And the first part of it is inbound. This is where hosts find you. You remember Googleicious? I think that's the word she used. You got to be Googleable or something like that. People got to be able to find you. Whether you're in SpeakerHub, Speaker Match, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. They need to be able to find you as a speaker. If I were to Google Esther Dillard right now, who would come up? Right? Is it you? Are you the only Esther Dillard? But we hope. But it's probably a bunch of other ones that may come up afterwards. Right? But we need to find Esther Dillard, the speaker. Is that fair? So let me show you what I mean by this. Let me see if I can share my screen. 1 second here. Pull up my page I want to share with you. Oh, it's in the same one. We're already in here, right? So let's go to, let's see, Esther Dillard. Right? Oh, look at that. Oh, I see her.
I didn't know if you were going to find that other lady. There's another lady named Esther.
No, we found you. Let me go back to my page. We found you. Right? There she is. Came straight up, which is great. That's what you want. You want to be Googleable, right? Now, if you don't have a great website and you haven't done all the great things that Esther has done, I'm going to show you the value of SpeakerHub really quickly. And let me put in speakers here. 1 second. Gotta scroll all the way down to the bottom. Speakers. Right? So let's pick a random speaker offer here. Shodipo. Oh, what the heck? Dominic Dunn. I can't spell that other dude's name. Dominic Dunn. I can spell that. Dominic Dunn. Right? So that's Dominic. When we go down, looks like he's done a bunch of speaking, right? But you know how people look for speakers? Because they don't know if it's the right person. You know what they put behind their name? Speaker. Right? And he comes up. There he is. But what's right here? His SpeakerHub page. You get this for free. Right? You get your SpeakerHub page. It's a digital one sheet. Helps you with inbound. When people search for you, they will find you. Let me log out of here so you can see it. When they search for you, they will find you. They're not going to see you dancing on TikTok or any of the other stuff. They're going to find your speaker reel and everything else right here. Does that make sense? So here's the reason why this is so important. When you send an email and you got your speaker one sheet, we don't suggest you send the one sheet in the first email. Do you know why? Because Google's going to block you for sending a stranger an email with a strange link in it. I mean, with a strange attachment. Does that make sense? So you put your SpeakerHub link in the email signature. And then when you meet with them, you get the booking, the meeting with the meeting planner. That's when you send your press kit and all the things that Pam has helped you with. Does that make sense? So this is a generic way to get in so that they can at least Say, should I really meet with her? They can look and see, but your email has to be delivered first. Does that make sense? And then when you meet with them, you say, okay, our meeting is set up. Here's a little bit more about me. And then you send your media kit and all those things that you get with Speak Sell Shine. Is that fair? Right?
Mhm.
That's really important because you got to be Googleable, right? So we call that inbound. That's where people search for you and they reach out to you. We talked about Chipotle, right? How big would Chipotle be if they never ran a commercial?
Mhm.
You think they would be big, Michelle?
If Chipotle never ran a commercial, I do not think they would be big.
Yep. You know what a
Well,
commercial is called? Go ahead.
if you're talking about in current day and time, I don't think they need a commercial.
Talk
Their
about
brand,
right now.
yeah, their brand speaks for themselves. We know what Chipotle is. We go
No,
to
I'm saying
Chipotle.
when they first started.
Oh, I think they did.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah, I
Since
think
we
they
already
do.
know who they are, why do they still run commercials there? Because everybody don't know who they are. And sometimes
They
you
still
need
got
to
to
be
keep
reminded what you need to be
building the
taught.
brand. Yeah,
Top of mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to
top of
remind people
mind.
to
Yeah,
come.
I like that.
You
Mhm.
got to stay top of mind, right? So, what is a commercial? Is commercial inbound or outbound?
That's outbound.
Yeah,
It's
outbound.
outbound. But
Yeah,
we don't think of it that way. We think of outbound as only cold calling or something. No, any advertising is you outbound projecting what you do and letting the world know who you are. It's inbound when you walk through that door. So outbound always turns into inbound. But when you run your commercial and I come to the store better be clean. If you're going to send me an email about speaking at my event and I come to your website and it's dirty, I ain't hiring you. I look at your one sheet, it look ugly. We'll pick the one with the better picture. Do you see what I mean? It's the same idea. So outbound, they work together. You can't have one without the other. If you just got a bunch of outbound stuff and your inbound crap looks bad, your website looks bad, you ain't got the goods, the outbound ain't going to work when they go verify who you are.
That part.
Got it? But if you just do inbound, you ain't going to never get no gigs because you ain't tell nobody that you was a speaker. So, right? Is this
So
fair?
basically one of the things inbound is when people are when you're Googleicious, right? So it's
Yep.
Googleicious, you are people are requesting you. They are requesting you, you are famous and you got all these speaker gigs. People are always, like, oh my God, I want to have Les Brown, it's inbound. So those are it when you're in the speaker bureau, that you Great American Speakers, whatever it is, it's inbound because you got a name brand. So they look at that picture. So I've seen that picture before. Oh, I think I know them. So that's inbound. Those are the people that are have built the brand and they are doing the thing. Outbound is when you got to try a little bit harder and you got to convince friends, family, and whoever else is going to listen to please put me on the stage. So inbound does come, but it takes time. Willie Jolly, though, just so that you all met him, Willie Jolly still does outbound. He gets a lot of inbound and he gets $40,000 a keynote. That is the top of where he's a Hall of Fame speaker, but he still makes outbound to this
100%.
day, himself. How do I know? Because he told me and I've seen him. He said people asked him, and YB asked him, he says, how did you speak at the church you were just in Richmond? He said, I called the pastor. He
That's
called
it.
him. So pick up the phone. It's okay. The outbound for the warm leads of people that you need that. So say for instance, one of the things that says you ought to do in your workbooks, it says make a list of the conferences that you want to speak at next year. Make a list of them. Understand what their application process is. Know who the host is. Be friends with the host. Send the host a cake. I don't care whatever you have to do. You made a list, and those are the 10 conferences you want to be at. Then start hawking them now. Start tracking them down now. That's the outbound. Okay, you don't have to do 1,000, but do 10, your top 10. Your inbound if you are active in getting earned media, if you are active in social media, if people see you a lot, maybe you did a signature event, whatever, that people are contacting you. Most of the time, like I just told you about Stephen, Stephen was contacted by the Tennessee school board because their speaker couldn't come. They were looking for a replacement. They found him. That was an inbound. That was inbound because he was Googleicious. He was found on the search engines. He had a good story. He had a lot of things out there about him that were all good, and they were congruent, and the brand matched. So it wasn't mismatched, but it took a year because I'm telling you, at the very beginning, Stephen didn't have anything going on. He had a nice website, but it was incongruent and stuff like that. But anyway, that's the difference between inbound and outbound. You want both, and you will. I don't care if you're as big as Willie Jolly, you'll still do outbound, but you'll be selective of who you outbound to. If you want to speak at, I don't know, Essence Fest, okay, that's an outbound call. Essence Fest ain't gonna call you. Essence Festival, they ain't gonna call you, but maybe you call and figure out who, Black Women a Power Summit. It's an outbound call. Inbound, well, maybe if you're a sponsor, you work for Hewlett Packard, you may get an inbound call that says, oh, do you have anybody that's a leader that can speak for Black enterprise women of power? Because Hewlett Packard is a sponsor and they're looking for Black women that are in power at Hewlett Packard. That will be an inbound call because then they'll come to you. So anyway, I digress. I'll let you go, Ron.
No. I mean, you're reaffirming what I'm saying, right?
We got about 15 minutes.
Yep, we're good. So basically what I want to say is, Stephen, there's a little gem in there that you all may not have picked up. When you reach out to a conference, you want the relationship with the meeting planner. And we always say, hey, are you the person in charge of booking for this event or other events in the future, in 2025 or whatever, right? And when they say, oh, we've already got our speaker roster, let me give you the follow-up. Here's the follow-up. Thank you for letting me know that you have your speaker roster all together. If you don't have a set of emergency speakers, can you put me on the list? I'm willing to show up if anybody drops out and can't make it. I guarantee you there were some people who were supposed to be in New York that got trapped in Florida during this hurricane and missed a speaking gig just last week. And if you would have been in New York, guess what? That could have been yours. Does that make sense? So that alternative follow-up, it lets them know that you're flexible. Lets them know that you're willing to do whatever it takes, right? So let me go back to the slides here because I think we can go through this a little bit faster.
Okay.
So we understand that you got to be doing inbound and outbound, but you also need to be using proof. And you use podcasts as proof to get associations. And you use those association gigs as proof to get the bigger conferences, right? Now, let me tell you what I mean. Rob Youngblood, who is a Speak, Sell, Shine alumni, was on with me earlier today, and he said, I got booked for the Insurance Association for Virginia. And he said, the great thing about it is that they got 50 other associations around the country. Well, my background, I was a financial advisor for 20 years. I owned 8 Allstate agencies in Virginia, where Rob lives. I said, look, let me tell you what to do. Call them and then ask them if they will introduce you to the one in DC, the one in North Carolina, the one in Baltimore. Because when they decide who's going to speak at the Big I, the national convention, they're going to ask the local chapters for recommendations. If 4 states recommend you because you killed it, you probably at least going to get a side stage. And if you kill the side stage and everybody come attend and your side stage is right, in 2026, you may have a main stage opportunity. But you see how he can turn one association gig into a conference. That's how that works. It's about building that momentum, right? Now, if he ends up speaking at the Big I National Conference, he can write for any insurance magazine in the country. Any of them. So then when he reaches back out to the podcast and say, hey, I'm Rob Youngblood, I'm a columnist for NAIFA magazine, guess what? He's going to get on the bigger podcast. And you see how this just builds momentum and keeps going, right? That's the key with the flywheel. It's using one stage to get a larger one. We have 3.5 million podcasts in our data set. We have 209,000 associations. We have 45,000 conferences and over 170,000 media outlets in our data set, right? At SpeakerHub. Now, speakers usually want to use this, but I'm like not ready for big conferences. This is my first week. Right? So we broke it down into 3 different categories based on the speakers we've worked with. We interviewed a bunch of our 61,000 users over the last few months, and we figured that speakers fit into one of these 3 categories. You're either emerging, under 3 years, comfortable asking for up to $3,000. You're experienced, 4 to 8 years, or you're expert. Here's what you should be doing if you're brand new. Podcast to get comfortable with your questions and your topic, and then going and practicing in front of small audiences at the local associations.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
And just so that you know, that's what YB does. YB's goal, if you all, one of the things that Speak So Shine, his goal was to get on 100 podcasts and to speak as many Chamber of Commerce as he could.
Yep.
And it's growing for him. It's growing. For him. That was his goal. That was his strategy. Everybody has a different strategy, but you know, if you are a caregiver, maybe you want to speak at all the area agency on aging type of every city has one. Maybe you want to be a speaker of those associations, right? So you want to have that strategy. When we do the one-on-one calls with you all, you do one with Brian for clarity, then you do one with me to kind of map out your promotion and marketing. But the main thing is you want to make sure that you are growing your speaking gigs because you're not scattered and trying to chase the rabbit 2 different ways. You're going in one direction. And it's really easy. A lot of you all, Dr. Marilyn said that. She said that she said it seems like a lot of us are speaking on the same type of things. Women empowerment, women's health, or you know, just really mental wellness and that kind of. Yeah, you may speak on generally the same thing, but you all have a target who is a niche for you. And that's something that once you dig into, it'll grow to wider and wider. So, but you first want to go in the inside of the target and then you can expand out. You don't want to just try and like, I'm going to be everywhere. First of all, you'll get burnt out, but you want to start with a niche of people that you know that you have the most verifiable information, credentials for them, that you relate to them the most. They will want to bring you in because you would speak their language. You'll speak their love language, and you'll bring them in. And then from one, we didn't talk about this, Ron, from one good speech that you get, a keynote, a workshop, or whatever, as long as if you're really, really great, they will then refer you, which is talk it out, which we're going to have later, but you want to get referrals for things like that. So I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but yeah. Okay, let's go.
No, I mean, look, you're making my job easy.
Yeah, keep sharing your slides. Keep sharing your slides. Yes. That's good.
This is great, right? So here's the emerging flywheel. Is this fair?
That's good.
Because brand new, you don't want to be in front of 1,000 people. You're gonna poop your pants. You got to wear a diaper on stage if that's the case. You don't want to do that. Y'all too young to be wearing Depends, so don't be going on those stages doing that, right? But this is what it takes. If you're using SpeakerHub, it takes you about 5 minutes a day. If you just follow this basic system, Nicole that works with Willie uses SpeakerHub for outbound, right? That works with Willie Jolly. Les Brown uses SpeakerHub, right? Rob Youngblood uses SpeakerHub, right? If you just do this, you'll be on 48 podcasts a year and do 12 associations. This puts you in the top 10% of all speakers in the world because the average speaker only does 5 gigs. I don't care how much they lie to you, they're only doing 5 on average. Okay, this is the top 10% of them. They're doing this. 48 podcasts, 12 gigs. If you're a bit more experienced, and this is for a part-time speaker, a part-time new speaker who still has their regular job. Does that make sense? If you're a bit more experienced, you add conferences, right? All you're doing is doing the same 5 outreaches, but you're adding 5 conferences. I mean, 5 conference outreaches. So you end up on 48 podcasts, 1 association gig a month, and 1 conference a quarter. Make sense? This is basically reaching out to 10 people a day. That's what Pam was talking about. You ain't got to do 1,000, just do 10. You'll be fine. But you got to be consistent. How many of y'all ever been to the gym, right? If I go in the gym and I just do 1 curl and I go home, I ain't getting a day. I at least got to do some. And then I got to go every day and do some curls. I can't just go, ooh, I'm done. Time to go home. That's how we kind of treat the speaking business. I reached out to 2 people. When? Last month? Come on, you're not going to get booked on that, right?
It is a
You
number.
don't have the other half of it, right? And then if you're really good, if you're an expert speaker, you got a lot of experience, you're going to add those publications to it. And you'll end up with 4 features and you double the work because at this point you're full time. So I want to show you the system that we use to do this. And I want to use the last 10 minutes to actually show you SpeakerHub and how easy it is. In the past, SpeakerHub really wasn't a hub. It was speaker directory.
Yeah.
And we said, no, it should be more than that because it only does inbound. It doesn't do outbound. And I get tired of people saying, what CRM should I use? And I had to put it in the chat GPT. And we like, dude, we can solve all of this, right? So now it's truly a hub. You have your speaker profile, which is still the best in class. We are the largest. I know all of the companies. You know, Speaker Match, great company. I know Brian, but we're 8 times larger than Brian.
What about
You still should be
in terms of size, in terms of
Yeah,
e-speakers?
in terms of volume. Yep. We get about 25,000 people that visit our pages every day.
Do you like e-speakers?
25,000 visitors to the website. Huh?
E-speakers?
E-speakers, I'm not sure, but I know their directory isn't larger than ours. They on their page, they claim to have 21,000 speakers.
Mm-hmm.
We were at 61,186 before I got on this call.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So we sign up about 30 to 40 people a day. We add about 1,000 new users every month. Right. So we know that people are going to be there looking for you. Right. So that's the speaker profile. Then we give you the data. 3 million podcasts, the 200,000 associations, the 45,000 conferences. We give you all of that. Then we give you the CRM. You ain't got to get a separate CRM. You can just manage it all right in one place. You ain't got to move no data. Ain't no spreadsheets. It's already in the system. How many of y'all heard of ChatGPT? We built it into our system. Imagine if ChatGPT could look at your bio. Actually, look at your LinkedIn and your website. Write a bio for you. Take that bio, match you to the right speaking gigs. Once you approve the speaking gig, write the pitch for you based on your bio and the speaking gig. All you have to do is push a button and it sends the email. That's what we have, right? So Esther, I'm going to show you. You're going to see it in a minute. Give me 2 minutes, right? So let's look at that, right? So here's my branding kit. This is the new SpeakerHub Pro. You can see Jody so far has sent 215 pitches this week. She working, right? We love the competition because ain't nothing more competitive than the speakers that's down at the bottom. They like, dude, I got to pitch some more, right? Look at Tanya. Tanya in second place, but she had 700 for the month. It's only 17 days in. They're working because they want to be on stage.
She's a
right?
CPA.
Let me show you
and
how
MBA.
it works.
But it's funny. She's a CPA and an MBA, so she knows it's a numbers game for real.
100%.
It
100%.
it's funny that she is a CPA, accounting in counting. Speakers tend to be more right brain, and so they really like a lot of that. But that MBA, she's the top one.
Yeah, so far this month, yeah.
And that's funny because I know she's probably more left brain. She's probably good at speaking, but she knows it's a number game. And she's probably, I'm not saying she's not a good speaker, but I'm just thinking like, really.
Well, here's the one thing we know.
Well, I know some of these speakers out here can sing and all this kind of stuff, but they ain't doing the numbers. They gotta do the outbound pitches. Yeah.
I can tell you one thing. If she sent 700 of them and she didn't get nothing, she would have stopped.
She got to be good, so her reel has to be good and all the other kind of stuff.
But you see what I mean? If she wasn't getting meetings, she wouldn't have sent 700. Because you'd have been like, man, I done sent 300 of these. Nobody got back to me. No, she'd have gave up. But she keeps going because she's getting the results.
Michael
right?
Wynn has a question real quick.
Yep. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead and answer.
So Ron, I merged now my pitch DP. Should I be pitching from SpeakerHub instead of?
No, we haven't done the full merger. We gave you the directory account where you can set up your profile, but we haven't merged the two companies fully yet.
So keep pitching from there.
Keep pitching from PitchDB. You still have access to the same data.
Right.
You just got a different logo on yours.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Does that make sense? But it's the same data. When we upgrade one, we upgrade both because we made a promise to you. We're going to keep that promise.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
So let me show you how this works. Let's say I work at Speak, Sell, Shine. And Pam, if you were to hire me, what would my title be?
COO.
Okay. I am the
Chief Operating Officer.
COO, I guess, right? I think that's right. And what would I be doing? I help speakers to get press coverage.
Okay, I was going to say
right. I'm doing this at your job. I work for you. So we help speakers to get press coverage, right?
Okay.
So I'm just going to hit save on this. Now, if you look at my bio here, it says that I do something else. I help people to buy businesses. You see that? So I'm just going to hit rewrite. It's going to look at my LinkedIn. It's going to look at my website. It's going to look at what I said I did. And it's going to rewrite this bio in 15 seconds. When you sign up, it'll automatically write your bio for you. Right? So give it 5 more seconds and it's going to be rewritten right here. There it is. As the CEO, COO, hailing from East St. Louis, I have dedicated my career to empowering public speakers to amplify their voices through strategic press coverage. It's as if I work for Speak, Sell, Shine. Right? So now, here's the magic. When I click on podcast, it's giving me PR podcasts to reach out to. Automatically. So I want to learn about this public relations review. I can listen to the podcast right here. If it's one that I want to go on, I just add it to my list and I click pitch. We're going to verify that we have the right email address for this podcast. And in 15 seconds, it's going to write a full pitch talking about what I do fictitiously for Speak, Sell, Shine. And there it is.
Woo. That's a lot.
Now, what Pam said is great. That's a lot. Maybe I don't want to write something that long. I can come down here and I can make it more professional and I can change it to short so that it fits my writing style.
Yes.
So there's we got this template and everybody's sending the same thing. No. It's unique for every person that uses it. So there it is. It rewrote the entire thing based on something else. Does that make sense?
That is.
Now all I do is click send and it sends it. Sends it from my email address, not from some SpeakerHub address. It's my own emails. They don't even know we exist for you guys. It's you doing it for yourself. Same thing for associations. I don't know where, let's use Dr. Angela. What's your topic?
Hers is women's health.
Yeah. Hi.
Okay.
Women's health, work-life balance for professional women.
Okay. Let's just do women. 14,000 associations focused on women.
Whew.
Right? What city are you in?
Detroit.
Yes.
Right? So let's do it this way. That probably confused it. Let's keep it at women. And I can come here and I can pick Detroit or Michigan. Right? And hit women. 420 right there in Michigan. We've removed all the excuses. We're in the excuse removal business. The world needs to hear your message. You need to be the leader that you needed when you were the person in need. Right? Same thing with media. You want more press? Reach out to the publication. You can get your own articles written. You want to talk to the journalist to be featured in the article? Come over here. You want to talk to Essence? Type in Essence. There it is. We'll give you the editors at Essence Magazine. Makes sense. Black Enterprise. We got them all. There's just no excuse anymore. We got them all. There it is. Right? So it's really up to you guys. You want to come in? I'll do it one more time so you can see conferences for women. Got 1,155 conferences for women.
Whew, that's a lot of women's conferences.
Right?
Women Empowerment Conference. Huh? Okay.
Yep. Click on it. We give you the description. We
Women
tell you when it's going to be
Empowerment.
held, usually in February. Maybe you've bought leads before. I know sometimes when you get a course or a training, the person says, hey, here's a list of opportunities, right? You know what you do? You click on leads, you click upload, and you upload your own CSV file and use our software to pitch those leads. Everybody has bought leads from somebody and all the gigs didn't fit you. You're like, dude, I ain't going to talk at this thing. Well, you know what you do? You upload your leads and let's see. I got 650 I uploaded and I'm going to type in sports. And it's only going to show me the 6 ones that are on sports out of that list. I ain't got to be reading through that spreadsheet trying to find and then copy paste it over there. And then, I hate that. Right? This is the new SpeakerHub. We track everything you do. So you can come in. This is the CRM. You see who's waiting, who you've reached out to, who you booked with. You can do all of that here. You don't remember what it is? Click on it. We tell you what it was. You need to follow up? Let me show you how that works. I need to follow up. We show you, hey, look, you sent him this on this date. You want to see what you sent? There it is. Did you get a response? Yes or no? This is the business.
Rhonda says, this is good, Ron. It's 8:00. She says, I need SpeakerHub. So tell them how they're going to get it. Okay. They're like,
that is great. That's it.
This is kind of
Just
like,
want to make sure you understand that we've solved all of your problems. So I'm going to put a link in the chat here. Let me stop this. I'm going to put a link in the chat. And our normal trial is for 7 days. But because you're a part of Speak Sell Shine, I'm going to give you a link in the chat. And then I'm going to give you a code that you can put in for this link.
okay, good.
And 1 second. Where's my Zoom? All right. So there's the link. When you click there, it's going to ask you to sign in. You sign in with your Google or Microsoft, and you're in, right? Once you get all of your stuff entered, it's going to ask you to enter your credit card information for a 7-day trial. I'm going to give you a code for a 30-day trial. 1 second. Let me pull this up here.
Yeah, because 7 days is really kind of too short to even like get the turnaround of a response. So 30 days, at least you can see how it is really going to work and you get used to the tool. A lot of people, you know, Dr. Marilyn, or there's certain people that just aren't really good with technology, say that way. So if you have a VA and that kind of thing, you can actually sign your VA into it, give them your credentials, tell them what you want, and it's done. I mean, because sometimes technology tools scare people. Obviously, Ron, you like technology. You know, I'm the type of person, I'm going to figure stuff out. So I don't let it defeat me. I'm going to figure it out. But there's some people that's like, oh, it's just too much. So that's one thing. If it does seem like you can have your VA, or there were some VAs in the workbook as well that you could assign this task to. Okay. And the email responses, I want Ron you to say that as well. So when you do pitches, so you do 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, and you pitch, I don't know, 30 people or so. When they reply, they're going to reply back to your email in your email box. You don't have to sign in into SpeakerHub in order to see the replies. They will come to you directly. That's why the purpose of what he said is it's going to come from your email address. So it is a CRM within SpeakerHub, but the emails come to your inbox. And you'll see if it bounces or if they are out of office, any of that kind of stuff. So it'll come to your email box.
Yep. And you all check your emails more times. You have a habit of checking your email on your phone and all of that stuff. So we don't want you to miss it because, oh, I forgot to log it in SpeakerHub. No,
Yeah.
you're already in your email for work. It's going to come directly back to your email. Dr. Angela, what's your question?
Hi. So I purchased the PitchDB about 2 months ago, and I've been playing around in it, but I haven't sent anything yet. So still use the same login credentials and everything since
So
it's not
I'm
part
not
of.
sure. I'm not sure which plan you have in PitchDB. I don't know if you got it through Pam or if you went directly to the link. We got so many different plans because after July 1st, we took all of the speaking gigs out
Okay.
and we moved them over into SpeakerHub. So
Okay.
unless you were in before July 1st, you probably don't see the speaking gigs or the associations.
Okay. It
Does that
may
make
have
sense?
been the code from Leadership Experience Tour. Like I said, it's just been
Okay.
like
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
2 months.
So you have
Okay.
access to everything already.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
good.
All
If
right.
yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Because that was before July 1st.
Yeah.
So you're good.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, you're all good. So in the chat, you'll see a link where you can sign in and sign up. When it comes to the thing where it's going to ask you to choose a plan, put in Pam Perry. It should give you 30 days for free. Right? Now, why is this important? Last year, today is the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March. 30 years ago, I was on a bus riding to DC from East St. Louis, and a guy stood up and decided to explain to a bunch of 16-year-old kids from the hood how money worked. He explained how checking accounts worked, how savings accounts and CDs and all of that stuff. I don't remember that guy's name, but if he hadn't had the courage to stand up and explain to a bunch of 16-year-olds what he wished somebody would explain to him when he was 16, I probably wouldn't be talking to you all today. I went on to be a financial advisor for 20 years because I loved the finance stuff that I learned when I was 16 so much. Because somebody who I don't remember stood up on a bus, a Greyhound bus, with us knucklehead 16-year-olds from the hood and decided to give a speech. Nobody needs to hire you to speak for you to have an impact. It's your job. It's your mission. It's what you've been called to do. Some little girl needs to hear from some of these ladies in here. Some little dude needs to hear from us men that are in here. And vice versa. Some little guy may need to hear because his mama may not be there for him. And some little girl may need to hear from us because their daddy ain't there. But it's our responsibility, whether it's on a podcast, a local association, or at a conference, or on a bus to the Million Man March. Share your message.
One quick question Esther had. She said, is the best way to sign up till after we finish a revamp of our LinkedIn, fix it, our one sheet or such, or sign up now? So I already said, this is, I'm an activator. Long as you have clarity, sign up now. Because sometimes you can go in here and you're pitching something like a podcast. Maybe they won't book you now. They may book you in 30 days. So now is always what I'm trying to move you towards. There are some glaring things that may be on your LinkedIn that you need to change, like if you don't have a banner on the back or things like that. But you don't need a one sheet if you have a good photo, which I think you do, and a bio that's pretty workable. That's fine for right now. But like you said, the thing that it will do is it will generate a bio for you, which it doesn't ask for a one sheet at this point. But yeah, you can always go back. It is a moving thing that is going to be reiterations of things. So we can't get better until we at least start. So start. Oh my God. When I first started on YouTube, my YouTubes were crunchy and ugly. They were just stupid, but I had to start in order for them to get better. So I say start in order to get better. And that will be the thing. So when you go in and you're going to pitch, obviously you're not going to pitch like the big Essence Festival yet, but you'll start with the small ones just to see how it works. So yeah, start now. For any of this, I've done it intentionally. Ron is second. YB was the other day. YB talked about LinkedIn because I just want everybody to really get that going because that's like a professional database as well. And then now this is a larger one. The following week will be something else. So they all add on. And I wouldn't bring them out of sequence because one of the things that's really hard for a lot of people is like knowing the sequence of things. Next week is Cheryl Wood, and she'll talk about SpeakerCon. She actually will give you her story of how she started 12, 13 years ago and how she's commanding $20,000 a keynote. All right. So that's a little bit different. It gives you time to kind of like, whew, okay, Pam's giving me all these tools, all these things, but next week will be Sherwood to really tell you how much she has really invested over the years in terms of her professional training in the speaker industry. She started out selling t-shirts at a booth, and then now she's gotten a whole lot of training. She said, I think she told me over the years she spent almost like $2 or $3 million in training, right? Because she's just been really building her business, but she's got a multi-million-dollar business now. So that is next week. The following week is in a speaker coach, where we have someone that's going to tell us a little bit about our stage presence in more detail. One of the things Sherwood still does is that she, even though she trains other speakers, she is always improving her stage presence. She's taking maybe comedy classes to learn more about humor and things like that. We should always be improving our craft. And Lynette is going to be talking about that. It will help for us to know our filler words that we say. Sometimes we have filler words that we don't even know that we're saying them. And then what'll happen sometimes, it really irritates other people that we're saying it all the time. That if you're going to go to a keynote and you're saying that same, not but something like, know what I mean? Know what I mean? And you're saying that at the punctuation. So that's the kind of thing that will help. So then we'll have someone talk about legal and trademarks. It builds on things. Then we'll have someone talk about Talkadot. That builds on things. Talk about book publishing, and then talk about PR and contracts. So it all builds. So yes, each one of these things are activated as soon as I give them to you, because it's done in sequence. So you don't have to wait. I hope that answers the question. Got it?
Any other questions? That's it. No, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate the time.
Dr.
Unless you all
Rhonda,
have no other questions, I'll let y'all go. Oh, go
Dr.
ahead,
Rhonda,
Dr.
okay.
Rhonda. I didn't know. I thought she was saying goodbye. My bad.
No.
She was like, bye.
I had saw that she said she wanted it. So that was the thing that she had. I thought maybe Dr. Rhonda Reese.
Yeah, I had my hand raised and I was being very, very patient because first of all, I just love this. This is going to save all of our lives, right? So thank you.
And our hair, right.
Thank you, Dr. Pam, for bringing me into the fold. And, Ron, this is amazing. So I wanted to see if you could run like what you did for women, just run law enforcement. I'm just curious what would pop up.
Yeah, give me 1 second here.
Oh, look at this lady. Who's that? Rhonda's an alumni of Speaker Magazine.
So here's something that I love to talk about, right? So one of the biggest questions we get is, do you have my topic?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's what I've learned. Remember, I had 300 speakers that we did agency work for. And I learned that there's only 3 speeches you can give. You can teach someone how to be a better leader. You can teach someone how to improve a skill, or you can teach someone how to make money. If you think of any speech you've ever heard, they fit into one of those 3 categories. Now, what that means is you can speak at any conference. Your job is not to find the conferences that fit your topic, but it's to fit your topic into the conference. Your job as a speaker is to be an accelerator of the mission of the event host. If they're talking about being proactive, your speech better talk about being proactive. No matter if it's about AI or law enforcement or whatever, you better be talking about proactivity if that's what the conference is about. Does that make sense? So we still can come in and type in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
But just know you can go talk anywhere. So we got 1,100 of them.
Oh my God.
Right? If you want to go to podcast, $241 specific podcasts that only talk about law enforcement. But if we go to the episodes, it's been covered over 10,000 times. These are people that have covered it as a topic, but their main topic every week isn't law enforcement, which means you can still go on there. Does that make sense? But again, when you're talking to law enforcement, you're probably talking to them about leadership or skill development, learning how to be more patient. You can take that anywhere. If you can teach a police to be more patient with this trigger, you can train a manager to not cuss out his employees. It's the same thing, just a different weapon. Do you see what I mean? The world is your stage. You can teach those skills in any segment.
Do like what you're saying, but I also know that because Dr. Rhonda has a niche that is, she's pretty like a unicorn. She's a Black woman, rose in leadership in the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
And all the law enforcement type of organizations want to know, those leaders want to know, how did you do that within this thing? And I would also say, because I think Dr. Teresa has been in the armed forces. Gigi, I think you were. Kevin, I think it was in the Army. And so that's a niche as well. So you want to kind of build up on the things that are unique to you, that you know that that's part of who you are. So you're part of the FBI, or you're part of the Army, or you are, certain things that are your niche. So for me, I'm a career publicist. That is my thing. I've been this for 30 years. I ain't tried to do nothing else, whatever. I've been in communication and mass media, marketing. That has been my whole career. So I haven't been like a social worker first and this. Now, my mentor was a social worker before she became a publicist, Terry Williams. Terry Williams she handled all the PR for Janet Jackson, Mary J. Blige, but she was a social worker. But that's part of her story. That's not my story. So you can really go, Dr. Angela is a medical doctor. That's just different from people who talk about women's health and holistic health and that kind of thing, because she is medical school trained and that kind of thing. So you do want to go with your strength, like I talked earlier about strength finders. So when you do your SWOT, and that was in your workbook, you go with your strengths, the things that are unique to you first, then go to the other opportunity, threats, and weaknesses. But yeah.
A lot of opportunity, guys. A lot of opportunity. Chris Voss, hostage negotiator, is on every business podcast. So a lot of opportunities. You can stay, spread. It's a lot of opportunity. Just don't limit yourself.
Michael Newman looks like he's in
pitch.
some kind of CSI kind of thing. Like he's I see you over here, Mike. You look like you're hiding.
Just pitch. Get on the stage. Anything else for me, guys, before I head off and let you finish your day? I've been talking since my first event was at 8 a.m.
Oh
So,
my God. Yeah, Dr.
this is
Angela
number
said, thanks,
4.
Ron. Yeah, Natalie said, thanks, Ron. This has been fantastic. I'm going to get that link again, Ron. Okay, there it is. All right, thank you. I'm going to pull that up. And I'm going to send that out again, okay, to everyone.
Yep, sounds good. I appreciate it,
Open
guys.
up. Let me open it up. Okay. Yeah, I got it. And they have 30 days, correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So probably next time I talk to you, probably done bought another business by then. But thank you so much for joining us.
No, you're right. We got two other ones on the table. We're trying to get done by January. So
Oh my God, that is so good. Any word about maybe buying Talkadot? I'm not trying to say anything, but
no. I don't think they're for sale. They're still a little. They're still young.
okay.
Young companies are hard to buy because they're still optimistic about the future.
Yeah.
You have to find the people that are tired of their business.
Oh,
And
okay.
at least that's our niche. I want to find a person like, man, I wanted to be Mark Zuckerberg, but I'm only making this much. Cool. Give me that.
So just great American speakers, Lawrence Watkins and Boyce Watkins' brother. Is that going to come back a
Great
lot?
Black speakers. Yeah.
Black.
We did a 2-year deal with them right after the pandemic with Lawrence, because Lawrence pretty much ran that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you know what, Ron, I think I want to do something else. I think I want to bring it back. And we reversed the deal. I gave it back to him. Right. So that's why we don't promote it at all.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had it for 2 years.
But it was a good site. That was a good directory site.
But it was more of an agency, and we didn't want to do commission-based agency work. So that's what a lot of the people were expecting. So I just said, Lawrence, I'm not going to do this. So we reversed the transaction at that
Okay.
point. But everybody was happy. But it was a deal that we did. We learned a lot. And, I'm proud of what I've done with SpeakerHub and the recent course that we bought. So,
The models are changing. And so I'm glad you said that when he said agency-based type of speaker bureaus, that's really where most of them are. And so you will find that, I don't know if you're trying to book Michelle Obama or something like that, they will be listed with an agency. Michelle does not want you to call her direct. So you go to my agent, that
I'm going to give you a little bit of context about an agency, because I think a lot of speakers misunderstand what an agent does. So remember, I was a financial advisor, an insurance agent underneath, right? And my job as an insurance agent wasn't to sell my client to insurance companies. My job was to look through the insurance companies that fit my client and pick the ones that were the best ones for them and present those three options. So the first thing that's necessary to have an agent is demand for you already. The Rock already has people looking for him. The Michelle Obama already has people looking for her. So their agent's job isn't to pitch them. It's actually to filter through the BS and find the 3 or 4 that match.
Yep, that's it.
So when you sign with a bureau and you don't get anything because you ain't got no demand, and they're focusing on the people that have the demand and collecting the fees off of those. That's why we built what we've built, because you should be able to speak for yourself, pitch yourself.
Yeah. And that's fair. I mean, if people are working on commission, they want to go with the one that will get them the money, the bigger money faster. It's and the way that you can build up that type of demand is to build your brand, to have brand equity in the things and relationships. So we're all in the era of computers and AI and technology. Nothing will ever, ever replace relationships. So continue to work on that. That's why you all in the cohort together build relationships. You never know where a opportunity will come from. More than likely, it's going to come out of a human's mouth to another human. So make sure that you're developing relationships with media, relationships with other organizers, building relationships online and LinkedIn. That is one of the main things that you will never go out of style, that building relationships. You will find that sometimes I'll go to a family reunion and I'm taking my speaker magazine and I'm giving it to the family because they didn't know. And it's like, oh, I need a speaker for my event. Yeah. So yeah, I'm the person, that I will have you walk through the airport with a big blow up of yourself going through there. So yeah, we are about it, right? So ain't no shame in this game. I'm a speaker. Yes, I am. You need one? I got you. Yeah. So that's what we're gonna do. So Ron, I see got Dr. Hanson back. Dr. Hanson, come off me. What happened when you went back to Detroit with your sign? You didn't tell me.
Oh, I walked through. I didn't take pictures with people, but people were looking. I was like, yes, this is me. And they were like, okay. So they took my website and people were excited. They really were. They were like, okay, I'm happy about what you're doing. And I probably talked to about 10 people. A couple people were looking like, they were, and didn't want to say anything. I don't know whether it's because I was a woman or one man kept looking. I think it was the doctor, but he was looking like, he turned around a couple of times. I was like,
that's it. And your websites were on there. So that's what the key was. The website, if they take a picture, they'll see the website and then they'll kind of, feed them in. And then hopefully the website converts them into a lead and then the lead turns into something, so that kind of thing. Yes. Yes. So you'll know.
No doubt did it bring eyes. I got on US Park to go back to the car and the guy said, "You a speaker? I'm here. I'm going to speak next week." But they're not giving me nothing like that. And so they were in the back and they were sitting in the back and the guy said, "Well, why would you put it on the tank on the plane?" And the lady said exactly what you said. She said, "Why do he want to do that? He wants people to see it." So she had to tell her the person she was with.
Yes.
I found it very interesting. It was very
I told
it was pretty good. Pretty good concept. Yeah.
Good. So I see you have some space in your office there. So that's where it needs to be, Mike. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a nice little thing in the background, but it's like, put your thing back there, the speaker thing. All right. I don't see anybody else that has theirs, but you'll get it up. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to hold you guys. So next Thursday at 7 is where we're going to meet again, and everybody can go to the link. If you have questions, Ron, can you put your information in there if they have questions? I guess when they sign up, if they have any questions, you have a really, really good is it Raquel?
Yep, Raquel is
She's
amazing.
great. Oh my gosh, she is so good. She's on top of it. Like Raquel will be like, put her email in there then.
Yeah, support at speakerhub.com.
Yes, so that would be good.
Raquel has been with SpeakerHub for 8 years, so she is the
What?
queen of SpeakerHub.
Oh
She
my
was the
God.
first employee.
Oh my
And
God. I love
yeah,
it. I love it. So congratulations. So next week, you guys, is Dr. Cheryl Wood. She's the cover for November. So she will be with us next Thursday at 7. And she'll talk a little bit about SpeakerCon as well, speakerconconference.com. If you're in the DMV area, you may want to check that out. It is the 30th through the 2nd. I'm like, whoo, I know you all just got back from Speak Sell Shine, but that is a long conference. I can't even imagine, but it's a lot of things going on. It's part expo, X awards, all that gala, everything. So she'll be on with us next week. Okay. Any question? It says, just want to make sure. Support a Speaker Hub. Yep. Okay. Gotta run, gotta sign out. All righty. Thank you guys. I will talk with you, Ron. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm gonna send this out to everybody, this link as well. Okay. And the recording. So when it recalibrates, I'm gonna give it back to everybody. All right. Hey, Jeff. All righty. Thank you. All righty. What time is it in Colombia? Oh, he's gone. I think it's like a different time zone there. But anyway, we will talk with you all later.